In today's video, we're going to talk about grain spawn production. So, grain spawn is a sterilized bag of grain. We introduce either a liquid culture or we do a grain-to-grain transfer, meaning that we take a bag of grain that's already been inoculated and fully colonized. We use that bag to inoculate production blocks that will eventually go in your grow room. And we take the remainder of that grain and we spread it to another bag. We call that a Generation 2 grain-to-grain bag inoculation. I'll go out to Generation 3, so I'll do it twice. After Generation 3, I'll always go back to liquid culture because the organism gets old over time, so you don't want to keep that organism alive past its expiration date. And I've noticed that if you go out to 3 generations, you probably could go further, but it's safe to stop at 3, go back to liquid culture. So what I also do is I don't use jars, I use bags. I used jars for years. It was a pain in the butt. There's a whole lot of cleaning involved, and breaking up the grain is just miserable. With the grain bags, it's just easier to break up the grain. It's easier to look for contamination. So I went from 5-pound bags of grain down to 3-pound bags of grain because I also want to use all of this in one shot. What I was doing before with 5-pound bags of grain is I'd use part of it, I'd seal it, and I'd use it again. I've had much better luck and zero contamination by just using a 3-pound bag, inoculating 12 production blocks, using the remainder to do a Generation 2 bag, and then just pitching the bag after that. So this was inoculated with a bag-to-bag. It's going to be the same thing if you use a liquid culture. You're looking for mycelium to build up, and I inspect these bags every day or two. I'm looking for anything green, and if you see something green in there, or pink, or any weird color, don't try to let the mycelium kill it off and all that. Just pitch the bag, start over. We're not talking about a lot of money here. So as soon as we see colonization, it's still kind of loose. Every couple of days, I'll break up this bag. You don't really have to wear gloves during this process. I can always wear gloves. And the reason I'm breaking up that bag is not only is it spreading out the mycelium better throughout the bag and speeding up the process. I don't really care about it speeding up the process so much because I have so many bags of grain. What I want to do is if there is any type of contamination in there, by spreading it out, I'm spreading that contamination. I want that contamination to show itself and contaminate my bag so I know what to throw away. If you don't do that, and if you don't do the bag mix, and you let the bag fully colonize, the fully colonized bag ready to go into production, there could be trick inside of this bag. There could be all sorts of green mold inside that I'm not seeing. So by every few days, just mixing up my bag, not only am I spreading out my inoculation points and speeding up colonization, more importantly, I want to see that green. So there's a couple different stages here. So here we have a lot of mycelium shown here. Some of this grain's not myceliated at all. Same thing. It just takes a second. I'm going to break up any clump. Like this. And I'll check this again day after day. And as I'm doing this, I'm under a bright light, always looking for any type of contamination. If you see any green at all, just don't bother. Pitch it, start over. So what I have noticed though, you don't want to do that all the way to the end. So during the process of seeing grain and it's not really fully white compressed, I can still keep mixing that up. But once your colonization gets to this point where you can see a little bit of grain throughout this bag, this is maybe even a little bit over myceliated, that's done. I don't want to keep breaking it up. What I've noticed is once it gets to this point and I continue breaking it up, it seems to hurt the mycelium network and it dies. So what I do is once it gets to this point, it goes straight to production and I start making my production bags out of it, and if I'm not ready for that, put it in the refrigerator. It's good for a while. So putting it in the refrigerator will slow down the mycelial growth and will buy you time until you're ready to inoculate your production blocks. So yeah, full colonization, don't mess with it anymore. Put it in the refrigerator or send it straight to production.